All right, we are recording. So everybody, this is Dimitri Apostle. If you're around Waxhaw, you probably know this guy. He is an insurance extraordinaire. He's been on NBC, Fox. You've seen him all over the place. Appreciate you joining us, Dimitri.
Yeah, thanks, Russell. Appreciate it, bud.
Yeah. So I guess to start, what's your story? How'd you get into insurance?
Yeah, kind of an interesting story. So my dad was actually a Farm Bureau agent for almost 40 years. So I went to school at Valparaiso University, planned on staying in the Chicagoland area. But right when I was about to graduate, my dad wanted me to come back, check out insurance, see if I liked it. And that was it. I spent the summer working for him and just fell in love with it. And yeah, that's how it all went down.
Nice. And you've been doing this for how long?
I'm going on 19 years, so pretty long time. So I started off as a captive working with my dad with Farm Bureau. Then I went to the independent world, kind of a traditional agency. And then I moved to Charlotte about 8 years ago to start up my Brightway insurance here.
Got it. So you mentioned an independent agency. You're an insurance broker, independent insurance broker. What's the difference between an insurance broker and like calling Progressive or Geico or the big guys? What do you do that's different?
So it gives us flexibility. So like I had mentioned, I work for my dad at Farm Bureau. And so while the name recognition was wonderful, our close, we could only close about 20% of the people, because if you don't fit in a certain box, then you just don't fit. So, or you can fit in a box, but it's going to cost you, substantially more money than what the market, is telling me that it would take to insure a home or auto or whatever. So I kind of recognized that early on in my career. And I felt like, being a captive with one company just is limiting. And so I wanted to move into the independent realm. So right now we have about 40 insurance companies that we work with. So if someone's got a diving board or a slide or something like that in their backyard, we have one carrier that won't take it. We'll have another one that will. So it's just nice to be able to have options for people, because not everyone has the same lifestyle.
Got it. So I guess what factors go into, I know you mentioned the pool being out there, slide. I guess how do they calculate that stuff? How do they go in and say, okay, well, this person's got a slide, we will still insure it, but this is the premium. Like, how are the premiums calculated?
Yeah, so it's there's a few different ways, and it can be a little long-winded, so I'll try to keep it short. So like I had mentioned, diving board, slide, some of the companies like Travelers, Liberty Mutual, Nationwide, if you have a slide or you don't have a slide, they kind of put everyone on the same playing field. So your rate is going to be not based on whether you have one or don't have one, because they take all of those things. So what we do is, a lot of times we'll go with the regional company they'll dial it in and they'll say, listen, if they have a diving board or slide, we don't want it at all. You're going to have to go elsewhere with it. But the good thing about that is you're not paying insurance for people that, if someone has that exposure, then you're essentially kind of subsidizing their premium. So with these smaller regional companies, you're not doing that. Everyone's, working with the same boxes. So they know they're not going to pay out, a $300,000 liability claim, because they don't take on trampolines or diving boards or things like that. So that's a big factor. Credit is actually a really big factor. So this kind of goes hand in hand with you, so if the higher your credit score, lower your insurance premium is going to be as well. So that's a big factor. Your age plays into it. Prior claims. So if you filed some non-weather related claims, whether it's the property that we're insuring or a property that you lived at prior, that is going to be factored into the scenario. So, credit's a big thing. Diving board, slides, dog breeds are actually kind of a big deal. I get kind of a chuckle when I ask people what kind of dog they have. We ask that question because there are a lot of restricted dog breeds, so that can play into your rate as well. There's 2 or 3 specifically that can really not only affect the rate substantially, but even, from a eligibility standpoint, we can't even insure certain dog breeds. We have to exclude the liability. So a lot of moving parts, but those are kind of the big ones.
So if someone's got one of those dog breeds, they're trying to get insurance to buy a home. Some of those agencies won't even insure them on the house because of that dog. Yeah,
exactly. Yep.
Okay, cool. Top 3 things I usually like to ask, top 3 things you want people to know about insurance if they're shopping for it, or, they just have questions about it. What are the top 3 questions that you kind of get when people are shopping around for insurance?
The biggest thing I get, and I get it on multiple daily. So so when we work with smaller regional companies, they don't throw a lot of money at advertising. So like, for instance, my home is insured with someone called Homeowners of America. They're a great company. They're an admitted carrier. And the Department of Insurance regulates insurance. It's similar to like the FDIC with like banks.
Right.
So even though you may not have heard of maybe Charlotte Metro Credit Union because you don't live in the Charlotte area, doesn't make it any less viable than a Wells Fargo. Your money is still safe. And that's the same idea with insurance. Even though you haven't heard of this company, it's still going to, you're protected. You know, the DOI is going to make sure that if you have a claim, it will get handled the same way as an Allstate or Nationwide or some of the, you know, carriers that you're more familiar with. So that one is it's a tough thing to deal with because, you know, you're buying trust. And if you haven't heard of something or a carrier, then that can be a little nerve wracking. But I just want to reassure that, you know, your clients and anyone listening that, you know, those small companies are extremely viable and they take amazing care of you. So don't be put off by that just because you haven't heard of them.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. We see the same thing on the lending side. A lot of these companies that people might not know about, you know, they don't have the overhead because they don't have the marketing, so their price is way better. They're still going to lend you the money for the house. They're still going to insure the house. It's just finding that niche, getting in there is super helpful rather than just going to, you know, the big dogs.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool, man. How do people reach you if they're looking to get insurance on home, boat, car, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest way, honestly, is just to Google Dimitri Apostle Brightway. You know, it's kind of a unique name, so you'll be able to find me if you Google me anywhere in the U.S. Actually, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You know, I would love to connect with your clients and anyone listening. But those are the best ways to get a hold of me.
Awesome. And you do what states all? Are you nationwide? What states?
Yeah. So I'm only in North and South Carolina. Those are where my contracts are. But if you need a referral to someone like me that has access to 40 plus carriers, we're in about 28 states. So chances are I might have a good referral for you, even if I can't help out.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you need to reach Dimitri, he's all over social media. Dimitri Apostle. Send him into Google. He's with Brightway here in Waxhaw, North and South Carolina. Dimitri, I appreciate you hopping on with us. I know you're busy. I'll let you get to it. But guys, that's Dimitri Apostle. Give him a call if you need insurance.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Talk soon.
All right.